Hello. Thank you for tuning back in. I know it has been a minute, but we are working through these. I promise I'm working on like multiple at a time, so should be good. Today, though, we are going to talk about Uncharted. I guess a bit of a shorter one, especially compared to how many games there are in like the Kingdom Hearts series, but um, or I guess games and media and all that. This one's a bit different though, because obviously this one does have a movie as well. So, um, reviewing uh, a new form of media that I have not yet in one of these. But so let's get into it. We're gonna start with Uncharted Drake's Trail. It's a 2007 browser game, and it was released only in the EU. Um, and it was released as a prequel for the first game. It's a Google Maps based game with Flash based mini games and clues. Um, I watched a playthrough on it. It doesn't seem to have really particularly hard puzzles. I guess I didn't think that it would. Um, but yeah, it I don't know. Nothing really stuck out. Um, it honestly it seemed kind of boring. Uh, is it worth it? Uh, no. I don't think there's any way to access it anymore. Even since first of all it was EU only, and second of all, the website is defunct now. So, um, no, it doesn't seem very worth it to me, and I don't think that it would hold up. All right, next we have the Uncharted Drake's Fortune motion comic. This one released in 2007, and it is exactly what it says. It's a motion comic of the game's prologue, like literally just shot for shot of the prologue from the first game. Um, it was released, I think, kind of as like you know how they do those releases now where it's like, oh, first 10 minutes of uh I don't know, what's an example? Starfield. I don't know. A big game that people are hyped about. And they do like, uh kind of the intro of it, they'll show you. I think this was kind of that idea back then. But anyways, yeah. It's fun, I guess, in like to see the comic setting, but it's not particularly interesting, especially because, like I said, it's exactly the game. So, is it worth your time? Probably not. just you can just start with the first game. All right, Drake's Fortune. This one came out in 2007. Um, I was just a wee lad, and I played this one a bit later. As I think I've mentioned in the previous video, did not get a game console until I was a bit older. We got the PS3 for my house when I was about 15, and it was just kind of going to be the Blu-ray player. But of course, if there's a console in the house, I'm going to get games for it and try to play it. So I had kept hearing as I got more into video games about this game called Uncharted 2 and how it was, the best game on the that had released on the console. And so I was like, well, if there's a 2, there has to be a 1. And I was a freak even then, so I had to play them in order. Which, to be fair, with this series that's so relies so much on storytelling and narrative, like I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's honestly fun to see like where we meet the characters from and just kind of travel through with them. So I don't think that was a bad choice. With other series, it probably wouldn't matter as much. But that's okay. That's my own problem. So Uncharted Drake's Fortune. I went and grabbed this one from the library when I was a kid. Played it, and I flew through this game. I couldn't believe how fun it was. I'd never played anything like this. I'd never played a game with this much story in it. I kind of just grew up playing some computer games that I could find, and like I don't know, Age of Empires and Star Wars Battlefront, and games that they didn't really have stories going. So this was a whole new world. It was insane. It blew my mind. The graphics, of course, at the time. Um, and it was just super fun. It was just like playing through a movie. There were twists and turns, and there were lovable characters, unforgettable characters, great banter. Like the writing is amazing. And the gunplay's fine. Like it's not anything crazy, but it was fun enough that teenage me was like, oh yeah, like I don't mind having to do these firefight ones. They're fun, and plus you get different weapons and stuff, so they keep it entertaining enough that uh, it's enough variety that it keeps you entertained. As you can see, it's a little bit rough, but cover based too. I'd never really played a cover based shooter. They're not. I don't think would be like my favorite style, but not gonna complain either. It was fun. It's a great game. I highly recommend it, especially because you can play the Drake's Legacy collection, where they've all been upgraded to HD and remastered. So I think it's fun and definitely worth your time. Yeah. All right. The famous Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. This one came out in 2009. I remember watching E3, and they showed this train intro sequence, and man, it blew my mind. I was like, I cannot believe what I'm watching right now. Like as he climbs up through the train, and um that was because I saw this. That was why I was like, I gotta go play the first game. Um and then I was so excited to hop into the second one because everyone said the second one was even better. And I thought the first one was amazing. So um this is honestly one of my favorite PS3 games. I should just say here, I should just make this statement now. I unabashedly love the Uncharted series. I really do. I just think it's so fun. I think the characters are great. I love all of them. It's one of those like nostalgic things for me where I'm like, yeah, I could play these games and every time and be excited. I haven't played through them a lot because I'm not typically a very like serial replayer of games, because there's just so many that other ones that I want to try or that I haven't played that I've missed. Um, but this is one of those that like if I let myself, I would definitely probably replay one too many times. Yeah, this train sequence absolutely blew my mind. The set pieces in this were just insane. Um, this is the one I believe that also had you running from the car that was chasing you through the streets, which was another insane set piece. Honestly, I would say that this game in particular, the first one helped a lot, but I would say the second one really showed me like how engaging single player narratives could be, and how fun character driven games are. And I would kind of credit this game for saving me from my crippling Modern Warfare 2 addiction, which was the only thing I played for a while. That and the fact that the first PS3 we had got the yellow light, and then I lost all of my save data on Modern Warfare 2. And that was kind of what got me into single player games. So yeah, is this game worth your time? Absolutely. I would play this now even. Like I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, I want to replay this, but I can't. I got too many other things to play. So yeah, definitely if you haven't played this one, check it out. It's a blast. All right. This is Uncharted: The Eye of Indra. This is a motion comic that came out in 2009. So what's strange is that this came out after the second game, but it's meant to serve as a prequel again to the first game. Well, I guess not again. The last one was just rehashing the prologue, but this one was 100% a prequel to the first game. Um, I guess even though it came out, it came out right before the second game. Um, it's kind of a weird choice, but I'm honestly not complaining because even though it has a bit of a far-fetched premise, even for an Uncharted game, it does still have the really fun Uncharted twists, and I thought it was a super fun way to introduce like how Drake actually met Eddie and Elaine, how him and Elaine ended up on the boat together. Um, so yeah, I actually do recommend this one. Check it out, watch it. It's really short. I think it's only like I think it's less than 20 minutes. It might even be less than 10 minutes. But yeah, if you're a big true Uncharted sicko, I think you'll enjoy this one, especially if you haven't run across it yet. All right. This is Uncharted 2 Among Thieves Flash game. This came out in 2009. It's just a flash game, 2D side scroller, kind of a la the mini clips era. If you were a kid growing up at that time, mini clips was just like a flash game hub, where you could go and play a ton of different games. It was the best as a kid, but now you go back and play, and the games are entertaining for like 5 minutes. But as a kid they're great. You'd spend hours on there. But yeah, this game, I obviously you can't access this anymore. Or maybe you can, but it's probably pretty tricky. I just watched someone play through it, and it literally took 10 minutes for them to beat it. It has no story, from what I can tell. You're literally just running through set pieces from the second game, just shooting bad guys. Um, is it worth it? Is it worth your time? I'm gonna say no. If this looks fun to you, then by all means try to seek it out. But no, I wasn't particularly interested in this one or enthused by what I saw. Oh boy. A bit of a well, no, I would say a bit of a controversial one. Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception. This one came out in 2011, and you know, this game, especially as the series ages, I feel like it definitely is the most divisive of the mainline games. It Some people really think it was a step down from 2. Others think that it's still great. It does everything that Uncharted is supposed to do. I fall into that camp. I think that it's still a ton of fun. I really liked it. Um, I didn't think that they could top the train sequence from 2, and I still don't think that. I do think they came close, though. I think the plane sequence from 3 was really incredible. Wasn't expecting that at all. I kind of wish that they hadn't spoiled that part as much in like E3. I think that would have been a fun thing to just let you experience, but I guess they kind of have to show off the set pieces, get you excited about the game. But yeah, the ending I would say too. I don't know why it feels a bit sillier than the other games. I try not to spoil too much when I talk about these games, just in case people still want to go through and play them if they haven't. Much like I'm doing with some older games that haven't been spoiled for me, which I'm appreciative of. But uh, yeah, for some reason the ending just felt a bit sillier. Even though it's always dealing in the fantastical, like these games do, it it just for some reason felt a bit more out of place. I can't really say why. Um, because I'm not sure, but yeah, it had that feeling. In the end, I love these characters. Like I love this series. I just can't help it. It kind of can do no wrong for me, really. I guess if they put out like a fifth one, or I guess technically it'd be like a sixth one, but and it sucked. Then I'd be, I'd be pretty bummed. But it'd have to be pretty bad, because I think that Naughty Dog always will pull out all the, you know, pull no punches when it comes to their set pieces and their storylines and trying to do new things with the characters. So, which I think is most important. It's worth your time. Definitely check it out. So, here we go. We're getting into a little bit of the different media. This is Uncharted: The Fourth Labyrinth. It came out in 2011, I believe, after the third game. This is a novel, and it was written by Christopher Golden, which is pretty funny actually, considering what Uncharted is usually about. I read through this whole book. It was a bit longer than I was expecting, honestly. I think it's over like 300 pages. So I wasn't expecting it to be that long, but I have some qualms with it. Now I would consider myself a reader. I read pretty regularly. I'm in a book club and all that, but this book, it did feel like it dragged a bit. I can usually tell if a book's going, kind of slow, kind of fast, what the pacing is, and this one did feel a little bit slow. I found myself kind of having to like grind through it a bit. So there is that. And I just had a few qualms with the writing. Yeah. Drake feels much less compassionate in the book than he does in the video games. He's a rogue, but he has a heart of gold in the games. But in the novel, he immediately dubs this girl that they meet as a spoiled brat and a condescending witch, within the first few chapters, which just felt pretty out of character for him. I wasn't really sure about that one. Also, the game, this novel is not set anywhere definitive, like in the game series. Um, so it's kind of a weird standalone, like alternate universe thing. Um, and then there's just like things in it that just come off as weird. Like Drake says he's never seen a mummy come to life, when he's talking to this person, and it's like, yeah, but Drake, you've seen like so much weirder things. You've seen weirder things than a mummy come to life. So it was just an odd statement for him to make. Also, we lose Sully about halfway through the story. Not He doesn't die. He We lose him in the sense they get split up, and Sully gets captured, which then sucks because then we don't get him and Drake bantering, which in a book I feel like would be a big draw of that, like the banter that you could infuse from the game's writing into the book writing. So it was very weird that Sully was taken from us halfway through and then didn't get reunited until the end. Also, so I guess to spoil this book a little bit, and I do apologize, there are monsters that appear. Maybe I won't say which kind, just so you're a bit more surprised in case you decide you want to go read it. But the problem that I had with it is the way they're introduced, and they try to actually go through and scientifically explain why these monsters are appearing. And now that I'm looking at the cover, they kind of spoil what the monster is anyways, so that was an odd choice too. I just noticed that because I hadn't looked at the cover. I read this on Kindle. So anyways, it's very strange that they try to explain scientifically why the monsters are there. Like, because in the games, we never get an scientific explanation. It's just like, yeah, there's a curse, or like, yeah, you touched this idol and you're not supposed to. You took the gold you're not supposed to. You went to the place you're not supposed to. Like, we don't need it explained why. We never do. So that was an odd choice. I didn't understand why that needed to be explained. And then Olivia, one of the characters, who we most suspected, and the author kind of sort of tries to lead us away from, because as soon as she came in, I was like, and I don't think this is much of a spoiler because because as I said, you immediately suspect her, and then uh in the end ends up being her, which again, like I said, is not terribly surprising. The author almost, it felt like as he was writing, he's like, oh shoot, they're gonna think it's her, tries to lead us away. I never really felt like I got led away from that character being the villain, and I was correct. It never really changed. So that was another one where it's kind of like, haha, the villain reveal, and it's like, I already knew that. Like it didn't surprise me. So this was a strange one. Do I recommend it? Not really. No. I would love to because I'm always one to recommend more reading, but this one just did not hit the notes that I wanted it to. And it could have been cool. I mean, and a treasure hunting book I would have been game for, but yeah, it didn't do what I was wanting it to do. The Uncharted Golden Abyss. This was a Vita game that came out in 2011, and it was Naughty Dog's foray into the handheld market. Um, it was pretty crazy. So I got a Vita for my birthday. I want to say a couple years ago. This was the first game that I played on it. I never played a Vita game before, and I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty blown away, because of just like the graphical fidelity on such a tiny handheld, um, the things that you were doing. I thought it was impressive, honestly. I will say that, of course, as with most of these handhelds that tend to have gimmicks, I hate how unnecessary the Vita functions are, like wiping away the mud or holding stuff up to the light, balancing on logs, cutting with the machete. Um, it's like stuff like that is just so annoying. Like I don't have a problem with like the touch to here to start climbing or like any of those things. That's fine to me. Like those are fine implementations of the touchscreen. But when you're forcing me to do things that are so unnecessary, like for example, the machete one's a big one. It's like you'd walk up to a bunch of bamboo shoots, and it could be kind of like the crawl through tight space here where it's like loading the next screen, but it's like I'd rather just crawl through the tight space. um Having me swipe the screen 3 times in a specific direction so that I can clear the bamboo was just annoying. I just don't like it. I don't like those gimmicky touch functions. uh they also try to be pretty meta with the cards that you're collecting, because I believe it ended up tying into the another game that they released the next year called Fight for Fortune, which we're gonna talk about. um, but I just didn't really care. I didn't need cards. It was weird. Just give me treasure to collect, you know. That's what I would have preferred. The storyline, of course, is much more dumbed down than compared to the other ones, and it is a game on a smaller scale. It's on a handheld, so of course they can't do as much with it. But just stuff like the main girl that you meet in this one, she has an obelisk with her, and you're just kind of like, oh, what is this? And then later in the story, it's like, oh my god, that must be the key to this place. And it's like, yeah, duh. Like, I knew we were gonna use this thing. And they were like, like I don't know if yeah they just were expecting you to not know or just roll with it. I don't know. It felt kind of like them being like crazy, right? And you're like, not really. Yeah. Anytime someone has a pendant or anything, it's like, yeah, we're probably gonna use this in this story. The puzzles also are just really easy, like baby easy. Like, most times the puzzles in Uncharted games, they tend to lean on the easier side because I mean, it's not a puzzle genre, but they're still sometimes a bit trickier. And I've even had to sometimes wait until like the hint pops up to kind of get me going again on what to do. So they can be a bit challenging, but the ones in this were like pathetically easy. Sometimes swipes don't register as well either, uh, which I don't know if that's just my Vita. um, I don't think so though, because the swipe function works on the main menu for everything else really well. So I feel like it's just a bit of just a little bit of jank, but that's it's fine. It's not the worst thing. But the swipes do end up coming back in a big way for the final boss fights, and I did not like that. It was very annoying. So definitely not my favorite. Is the game worth it though? Yeah, I do think it is. I know I've just been ragging on it for like 5 minutes straight, but those are just the cons of a game in a series where there's not usually a ton of cons. So I just felt like it was important to talk about them. But at the end of the day, like this is still an Uncharted game. It's still very impressive for a game on a handheld system. I think it's definitely worth it. I think it's fun to check out, especially if you have a Vita. Like grab this one, just see if you like it. Um, if not, you can still watch through it, and it's still an entertaining time. I mean, like, have you not been entertained by this as it's going? So, um, yeah, I think it's still Uncharted enough. It's still worth it. Oh boy, Uncharted: Fight for Fortune. This one came out in 2012, and I'm not really sure still what the thought process was behind this one, at all. So this game is a card battler, um, and like I mentioned, those cards that you could find in Golden Abyss. Here's where they come into play. If you sync your data, because obviously you're playing it on the same console. They both dropped for Vita. Um, then you can play with the cards that you find in Golden Abyss. Most card battlers that I've played, because I've played a few. I've played like the Pokemon trading card game. I've seen people play the Yu-Gi-Oh one. I've seen Hearthstone. I've seen these types of games. Okay, I know how card battlers work. Most of the time, there are things happening on the screen. Uh, Not the case with this one. This game is so unbelievably dull and boring. You click a villain's face to challenge them. You go into battle on a beige background screen, much like you're seeing here, and the cards have no attack animations. Like they literally just move a tiny bit, and that's it. Like they don't show anything even. Like it's so bizarre. Um Now, I mean that's just how it looks. The game itself isn't too terribly hard to figure out. It's pretty straightforward card battling stuff. I think I won my first like 5 battles in a row. And I had it on just the normal difficulty. But the game was just so incredibly boring that I dropped it. I am not a person that drops, whether it be games or books or shows, whatever. Like I don't typically drop out. I usually will try and play through all of them. Um, just to see, I can usually find some redeeming qualities from different types of media, but this one especially, it was just so boring. It was so boring. And then I was thinking, I'm like, what if I play through this and there's nothing? Because like I was going through the levels and nothing was happening. There was no like uh, storyline that I was following. There was nothing really that I was unlocking all that much. Like, uh, so I was worried about that. So I went online, watched a playthrough. I skipped through it to see if there was anything that I would be missing, and literally nothing happened. There's no story. There's nothing at the end when you beat it. You just go through, you beat the different, enemies, collect their cards, and that's it. Try to collect all the cards. Um, so yeah, it is such a strange entry in an otherwise amazing series. I'm just not really sure whose idea this was and why. Um, but is it worth it? No, not at all. I guess unless you're some kind of like crazy card battling sicko and like an Uncharted sicko, and you have to combine the two. you might you might get a kick out of this one, but it's just so boring. Like this is what it looks like the whole time. Um, I can't recommend it. Here we go. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. This one came out in 2016 for the PS4. I believe it was one of the kind of uh, leading games, one of the launch titles for the system. Um, and man, I remember I was hyped when I saw this trailer at E3. Um, this I was like, they're doing it again. Let's go. Um, this is just to me the pinnacle of how you end a series that you love. It's just an incredible swan song to all of the characters that us Uncharted fans have come to love. The series that dominated the PS3 really just goes out with a bang to start the PS4 era. Um, and I think that's just a really fitting way for it to go. It's got an amazing storyline with Drake's childhood and with his brother, and how it ends is just amazing, and you're so happy for him. Uh, well, I won't spoil the ending because it is just very heartwarming. Also does, and I know this is way like a stretch. It does though feel a bit like it's leaving stuff up in the air where it's kind of like, hey, you never know. We could come back to this. Which if you know how it ends, I do think that that's a really cool idea, a very interesting concept. I love this series. I love Drake. I love Sully. I love all of them. So to me, this is so worth it. Please play it. It's probably the best one. All right, we are kind of out of the mainline games now. And we are actually kind of coming to the end here. There are not a ton left. This is Uncharted Fortune Hunter. It came out in 2016 for Android and iOS. It's a mobile game, as I'm sure you can tell. You tap Drake to move him. You solve little puzzles, and it somehow links with Uncharted 4. I'm actually not really sure how, and it's got them done in this little cartoony kind of style. Um, I watched a playthrough of it because I don't think you can get it anymore on your mobile devices. It's fine. It doesn't look like the worst thing in the world. It's a puzzle game. It looks pretty fun. Um, but is it worth your time? I don't think so. Just from what I've observed, no. There's a ton of puzzle games that you can play if you really would like to. Um, and it's a mobile game, and there's like a million puzzle games on those systems. So yeah, I can't really recommend it. All right, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. This one came out in 2017 for the PS4. Look, I'm never gonna complain about more Uncharted. This one was a bit different though, and had people pretty split. Because two characters that we didn't know insanely well. Just knew them both from one game each. I do like how they were trying something new. It was pretty cool. The world map was quite different for an Uncharted game. It was a bit open world. I think it showed that honestly, if Naughty Dog wanted to do open world style, they'd probably do it pretty well. They'd probably kill it. But that being said, I don't know how many more open world games we need, especially with a lot of games deciding that they're just gonna go be open world games now. When it feels unnecessary. Uh, but yeah, I just like the new things that they did. I think it was a perfectly serviceable storyline. I don't think it was anything crazy. I don't think it reinvented the wheel in terms of the series, but I do think that it was still fun and worth checking out. I just wish that they had a co-op option for the single player, like a couch co-op deal. I don't know why, and I could be wrong. But I no, I don't think I am. Because I remember I was so excited. I'm like, oh, there's two characters. Like, of course it's going to be co op. Like, I'm going to play this, with my sibling. No. So that seemed like a no brainer. And, like, they could have hit it out of the park easy. But uh, they decided not to. Um, and I don't know why. But yeah, I'm still gonna give it a worth your time because it's more Uncharted, it's more fun. Like it's just and like I said, the world maps is definitely worth checking out. It's pretty fun getting to drive a Jeep around and stuff and go to the different tombs and dig sites and everything. So yeah, I would say check it out. All right, that is it as far as games go. We are now back into another varying form of media. We've got the Uncharted movie, which released in 2022. I didn't want to play a clip because I figured it would probably get, copyright strike or whatever, and have to remove it anyway. So we're just gonna go with this lovely picture of the main characters. So look, I'm not a movie reviewer. I mean, I'm not a video game reviewer either. I'm literally just saying, do I think these things are fun, essentially? But so I'm not gonna spend too much time digging into this in great detail, but it's just not great. I don't think. Um, it's a very generic action film, uh, and when you know that like the really phenomenal source material that it's pulling from, and you've seen another Naughty Dog property do it supremely well, The Last of Us, um, then you kind of this one just hurts all the more that they ended up going the way that they did. Tom Holland is just I love Tom Holland, but he's too much of a charming guy. He lacks the roguishness of Nathan Drake, so that's a bit lost on the character. And then Mark Wahlberg is 1000% just there for the check, and it absolutely shows. This guy, it feels like one of his most phoned in performances when he feels like he phones in most of his performances. Um, this one was particularly bad. Um, there's no Elaine, which is weird, especially if you've played through the games because you know how big of a character Elaine is. Um, and then Chloe felt like a bit of a miscast. I thought that, she looked like Chloe. And but she just lacked any edge to her character at all, and maybe that was more to do with the writing. Was a bit of the problem, and the actress could have pulled it off, but uh, yeah, just very very odd. Um, that she just didn't have any of the Chloe. It felt more like Disney Channel sass than like, you know, adult mature Chloe like sass like banter with Nathan Drake. Um, if that makes any sense at all. So, yeah, I don't. If that doesn't make sense to you, I'm sorry. I don't know how else to explain it. But so, the movie essentially what it does is it grabs set pieces from what I think was like the third and the fourth films, because it's got like the plane sequence, it's got uh the mansion heist from the fourth one, um which they typically do in with things like this. But it just kind of led to me wondering, like, why did they not just start with the first and second film? Like, because if you're planning on doing more movies, which it feels like they were talking about now, to be fair, it's been about 3 years and those talks have died down, so they might not actually be trying to do another one. But um when they were trying to set up for it, it's like it felt like they kind of painted themselves into a corner because uh they had already grabbed some of the biggest set pieces from the movies. If they had just started with the first game and then worked there, but I mean, maybe they just thought it would be too boring. I don't know, but it also just doesn't make sense because we were, like I said, we are just missing characters. So it's like you're pulling from Uncharted 4, but then there's no Nathan Drake's brother. But then if you're going to introduce him, then what are they gonna do? Like, you do another heist together? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, like I said, there's been no mention of them doing another one. It did well budget wise, from what I remember reading. So I thought that it was gonna be kind of a for sure deal. We'd see another one, but I guess not. Um, is it worth your time? I don't know. I I think I'm leaning towards no. Um, if you enjoy super generic action movies, then like, yeah, I guess you'll be fine and think this one's good. But if you're like a fan of the games, or uh, find yourself falling, in love with the characters because the series made you try the games, then just stay away because like it's really only gonna leave you disappointed. Especially the end sequence. Like I said, they had the plane sequence, they had the mansion heist sequence, and because of that, to do the third act, they had to go like all out over the top. How do we top these? Which it's like falling out of a plane. How do you even top that? And they tried to, and it felt really dumb. Like, I guess I won't spoil like what the third act is, but oh boy, um, it's pretty dumb. So yeah, I would say really only check it out if you love generic action films and just can't get enough of them. Otherwise, stay away from it. You're not gonna like it. At the end of the day, that is the last bit of media from this series. If I missed one, like, let me know, but I don't think I did. I'm usually pretty thorough with this, so um, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want more like this. If you've got a disagreement with me or something, let me know down in the comments. I'm sure you will. I am currently working on, like I said, a couple more series. I'm playing through a series that takes place in space. So if you want to guess what that one is, and then another one set in the apocalypse. So yeah, let me know what you think your guesses are for those. And then follow me on social media if you'd like. You can yell at me there. Um, and finally, I do have a Final Fantasy project that I put out. I will leave that down below if you'd like to give it a listen. Otherwise, thank you for stopping by. I'll see you on the next one, and hopefully it is sooner rather than later like this one was. Peace.